guys, Marco the dog trainer here. Today we're going to be doing a really quick video on the best crates for German Shepherds. Now, in the span of my career, I have trained a lot of German Shepherds. Some of them may be as small as 50 pounds, some of them may be as big as 110, 115. So it's one of those breeds that can really vary in size and shape. And because of that, it makes it kind of difficult to give a one-size-fits-all recommendation for a crate. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go over the two sizes that I would imagine will cover the majority of Shepherds, and I'm going to have those links posted in the description. But if for whatever reason you feel that your dog has different dimensions or isn't going to fit into these ones properly, I'm also going to list the kind of alternative sizes of the same model. So that way, if one of those happens to fit your needs better, you can check that out as well. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know I'm a really big advocate of the PetMate Sky Kennels, these plastic ones. And that really is going to be my top recommendation. But I do think there's kind of a time and a place for the wire crates. They tend to be a little cheaper. They collapse into a smaller space. They come with a divider, which can be nice for like puppy potty training. And, those are pretty nice and convenient advantages of the wire crate. So even though these PetMate Sky Kennels are really my top recommendation, I did set up the equivalent size of this one with the brand that I typically use, which is called ICrate by Midwest Homes for Pets. They do have equivalent sizes of almost all the different PetMate Sky Kennels. So I'll have those posted as like an alternative recommendation in the description as well. So if for whatever reason you're more into the wire stuff, you can check that out as well. Now, the two different models that we're mainly going to be focusing on today are going to be the PetMate Sky Kennel 48-inch and the PetMate Sky Kennel 40-inch. Okay, so the 48, what they mean by 48 is the distance from front to back is 48 inches. So this particular model is more for like the 90 to 120 pound range. And the 40-inch Sky Kennel is going to be more for like the 70 to 90 pound range. Now, I have other videos that talk a little bit more about how to pick the right size for our dogs. But generally speaking, the main things that I'm going to be looking at is one, the manufacturer's recommendations that I just gave you as far as weight. And then the second thing that I always think about is like how our dog's frame and size kind of fits the crate, where I always want dogs to be able to sit up really straight and stretch their back without their head hitting the ceiling. I also like dogs to be able to stretch out and kind of lay on their side without having to contort themselves. So me personally, a lot of times I like to go a size up for my dogs, just because I'm gone for long periods of time and I want them to be comfortable. So as long as we're not talking about a puppy, a lot of times I like going one size up. Now, again, that's more of a preference thing for you guys to decide. So now why don't we take a closer look at both of these models so that way I can walk you through everything you need to know. All right, guys, let's take a closer look at both of these models here. So both crates are really similar in the way that they're put together. They're basically three pieces. We've got a top shell, a bottom shell, and a door. And you basically just bolt the top to the bottom with these bolts that the crate come with. I'm going to take apart the crates here in a second to show you guys what that looks like. But the smaller model, the 40-inch, we can put up to 11 bolts around the perimeter. And on the 48-inch, we can put up to 17 bolts around the perimeter. Now, my dogs are not actively trying to break out of the crate. So because I don't feel like undoing 17 bolts every time I take the crate apart, I usually just use 5 or 6 and it works perfectly fine. But back when I used to board dogs at the house or work with dogs with separation anxiety, I would put every single bolt in there just to make it as secure as possible. Okay, now on that kind of same note of like escape proof, we'll talk about, okay, so both of these models have got the kind of dual locking door. That it's really tricky because you have to press the one lock in order to unlock the other. So I've never actually seen a dog break this type of lock before. When you start going one size down, like smaller than the 40-inch, they changed the lock to a lock that's a lot easier for dogs to break out of. Okay, now neither of these models are technically marketed as escape proof. But when we're talking about the 40-inch or any of the smaller ones, they're definitely going to be better than any of the other plastic crates that I've seen out there. But I've definitely seen dogs break out of the 40-inch and smaller. So if you're just dealing with a regular dog that doesn't have any type of separation or crate anxiety, this will work probably perfectly fine. But if we're working with a dog that has escaped crates before, the Sky Kennel, the 48-inch model, I have actually never seen a dog break out of it. And I've worked with quite a few dogs with separation anxiety. And I think that it's a combination of the dual lock that they have on the door and the plastic. You can't really see from this angle, but it is some of the thickest plastic I've ever seen on a crate. So I'm pretty sure that's why I've never seen a dog break out of the Sky Kennel 48. So even if I have a smaller dog, if they are known to bust out of crates, this is probably the crate that I'm going to recommend if we're trying to make a plastic crate as a last-ditch effort before we start getting into those $1,000 like metal escape-proof crates. Okay, now another thing that I really like about these crates is that pretty much anything metal on them can be replaced. So my PetMate Sky Kennel, this 48-inch crate, is probably 8 years old. And I think I've maybe replaced the door once or twice because I've had dogs that were just scratching at it and licking at it. Even though they didn't get out, it just started to get a little rusty over time. But being able to just buy a replacement door is a lot cheaper than buying an entire new crate. So that is one of my favorite things about these crates is you can really extend the lifespan of them by replacing like the metal stuff kind of as needed. So before we wrap up, let me take these crates apart and just show you what the assembly looks like, and then we'll call it a day. All right, guys, I've got these things taken apart for you, and we'll just really quickly go over how to put them back together before we wrap up. Turns out Forrest was in that crate this whole time, and he apparently wants to hang out for the video, so I figured I'll just let him hang out in there. Now, a lot of times when I take these crates apart, especially if I'm traveling, I put the top piece in the bottom piece just so it's taking up a little less room, and a lot of times I'm going to put the door in here. And like I said, if I'm traveling, I'm going to put the dog food in here and any dog stuff that I'm bringing just so I can kind of utilize the space that this crate takes up. Now, as far as putting this together, it's the same thing for both of these crates. Just because Forrest is here, I'm just going to use the smaller one for now. We basically just take the top piece here and we just place it on top, and we just need to make sure that all the holes are lining up properly. Not rocket science by any means. Okay, and then one thing that I really like about these crates is we can decide which way we want the door to open depending on where we're going to have the crate. Okay, but we just have to make that choice before we put it together. Okay, and basically we just put it in the holes here. And we have to make sure that this is unlocked when we're trying to put the crate together, because again, the way that this lock works, it's going to send 4 different poles into different places to secure them. So one comes in here, one goes in there, one goes in the bottom, and one comes to the side. Again, that special kind of dual lock. Okay, but you have to unlock it before you can really pull it out or do any of that. Okay, so from there, all we have to do is get our bolts, drop them in the hole. Super, super easy. You don't even need a wrench or anything like that. You can just do it with your fingers. And then again, it's kind of up to personal preference how many you want to put in. All right, guys, so I think that's pretty much everything you guys need to know about the PetMate 40-inch Sky Kennel and the 48-inch Sky Kennel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.